morning, everybody, and welcome to Wealth Edit Wednesday. We're really excited to have Caroline Bramlett on today from LCB Style. Y'all, we just love Caroline, and I can tell from the number of people that are in attendance today that you're well loved by many. I told Caroline that, you're famous when my mom called and said, I'm going to miss Caroline's podcast, but please record it so I can hear everything she has to say. I open every single one of her Instagram, anything that she puts on her blog, I read it, and we're going to get into that more because I think that says a lot about you. But anyway, you're so well loved by so many. So we're excited that you're here. And I heard today is your first podcast.
It is.
Y'all are very exciting.
And we feel very honored.
So flattered and honored to be here.
It can only go up from here.
That's right. But so Lauren and I, this is a funny story how we met Caroline, and then we're gonna let her introduce herself. But we met Caroline in Beaufort, where Somerset has an office in Beaufort as well. And we were there for the launch of our office, and Lauren, in her super stealth Instagram stalking, saw that Caroline was also in town and invited her to dinner.
Well, the thing is that we were there are very few hotel accommodations in Beaufort. And so this place called the Red House, we were both going to stay there. And they kept saying, there's this influencer that's staying here, like, we're going to be taking pictures. And after the fifth time that they called me about this influencer, I'm like, who is it? Who is this? And so then they told me, I think, because I threw them off with my very direct question. And then I realized how many mutual friends we had. I was like, I'm just going to see if she wants to come to dinner, because if the experience is going anyway, like ours is, then she may just want a new friend. And she took a chance on us, and then now here we all are on her very first.
It was meant to be, because on my side of the story, I didn't know what was going on in the back end. And so I get a DM and I'm like, wait, how do they know I'm here? I want to be friends with them and I want to go to dinner with them. I'm like, wait, can I ask you how you knew? I was like, did you read my mind? Did you read my emails? And it was the saving grace of a very long few days of the redeeming part of that trip was definitely meeting up.
We had so much fun with you. It was the highlight of our trip too. Okay, so tell us your story, because you're so well loved and you have such a great aesthetic and you're so talented as a photographer. I don't want to tell your whole story, but just tell us everything.
Y'all are too sweet. So I am a fashion and travel blogger turned professional photographer. I started a blog my freshman year of college, majoring in fashion design. So with the beginning of my blog, I was sharing what I was making in my classes and school. And as that progressed, I started having brand partnership opportunities, and it really grew into a full-time business. So then after college, I was in Birmingham for a year, still doing the whole fashion and travel blogging thing. I started traveling a little bit more, partnering with hotels to shoot different new fashion collections at a hotel, or to just partner with the hotel and write about them on my website. And then about a year after college, I really thought I was going to move to New York, or I thought about Charleston, Nashville, just a bigger city to pursue more opportunities with my blog. And long story short, on a whim, backstory, my dad and my brothers play polo. So that was my original connection to Palm Beach. I had grown up going there. And when it came time to start really pursuing a new city to live in, I first thought it was going to be New York, and then I ended up partnering with a hotel in Palm Beach and a brand down there. And I came back from a trip and I was just like, what if this is it? There's so much New York influence and a lot of fashion and travel opportunities in Palm Beach, and I'm totally a beach girl at heart. And so I came back, and I remember having lunch with my sister, and on a whim just being like, what if Palm Beach is it? It never crossed my mind ever before. And I started praying about it, and God just opened so many doors, just one after the next. And I'm such a homebody that it was so not of me. I was like, this is crazy that this is happening, but everything really just started falling into place. And so the summer of 2019, I moved to Palm Beach. And when I moved there, that was when a lot of doors opened to pursue photography. So I started working with brands, a lot of brands that I previously worked with on my blog, but people were really taking notice of my photography style and eye and editing. And people were coming to me more than just to post about them on Instagram, but really to help them create content. And so I feel like I had an advantage working with brands like on the photography side, because I also knew the back end of the business and like for social media, how to capture product or to shoot specific things so that they perform well, like on Instagram and Facebook and all the different things. So upon moving to Palm Beach, I started a photography business, and that is now really my full-time like first priority as far as business goes. And then I still blog and share fashion and travel stories on my blog and Instagram. So now it's really two businesses where photography is really my priority, but my blog really supports that and works like a 2-in-1 with that. So that is what I've been doing. So now I've been in Palm Beach for almost 3 years, and now I am starting to split time between Palm Beach and Birmingham, which is where I grew up, one of 5 kids in a big family, and everybody's here. So I know long-term, this will probably end up being a big home base for me, but I'll always work in Palm Beach. So figuring all of that out is the journey I'm on right now, but it's been so great. And I've been so fortunate to work with brands, bloggers, interior designers. I have a construction company that I work for, families, a whole range of different clients. And I just love capturing different people's stories, and whether it's product based or like if it's a blog, influencer, interior design, whatever it is, I just love capturing those moments and being behind the scenes a bit more.
I love that because, I mean, COVID really has taught us that we can live anywhere. And sometimes we can, have a business in one place and live in another place. And I think you're going to do that beautifully. And thankful for technology that we're able to do those types of things.
For sure. For sure.
Well, tell me this. So you've mentioned a couple of times like brand partnerships, and Emily and I are getting older every day. And so help our audience just kind of understand the brand partnership journey. If they have a blog and maybe they haven't explored that, what is the progression of like working with your first brand? What did that look like to now?
Yeah. So I feel pretty fortunate that I started my blog pretty young. So I was in college at the time and was living at home and really didn't need to make an income off my blog to start. Really, I didn't know that it would turn into my full-time job. I think in the back of my head, I always dreamed that would be a possibility. But starting out, I was like, I just love the creativity of all of this and having a place to share these things that I love so much. So from the beginning, I would say for a couple of years, I was really just working with brands on a gifting basis. And I know this is a whole topic of like influencers being paid versus gifted versus, like there's so much to delve into all of that. But I would say to start out, it's usually pretty important for a brand to feel like the influencer that they're working with is a very authentic like spokesperson and ambassador for their product, and somebody that like truly organically loves their products. So again, I felt fortunate that for a couple of years I could partner with brands and I never had to request anything on my end. It was truly just like an honor to be able to say that I was like working with them or associated with them and really get to know their team and like behind the scenes. And so then by the time I had graduated college, I kind of built up that trust with brands so that they were ready to pay me. So that transition from like gifting to being paid for partnerships happened pretty naturally. However, I do think it's important to find like the right brand partners, because a brand is really investing in you, and therefore, you have a responsibility to promote them and speak authentically about their product. But yeah, it's very interesting how all of that works. And I know every blogger, every influencer kind of approaches things differently. I'm now in a phase of my business where I don't accept many gifted partnerships just because and I'm very transparent about this when people reach out, my photography business really is my priority. So, which is great in two ways, because the brands that I do partner with, I'm like all in. And that's pretty much how I've been since day one. Like if I say yes to like a brand partnership, like I'm going to talk about you all day long. Like, I want to give your full story. I'm just like a really thorough person when it comes to that. And I'm like such an open book that like, I can't just give a little like sneak peek. It's like, I just tell the whole story. So I love working with brands like of all different sizes, but I'm very specific now about which ones I take on, because I know that my time is more limited as far as like posting about brands. But I feel like I've found like fewer finer partnerships where most of my partnerships now are longer term. So, I mean, there's some that are on a yearly basis, some that are like a few months. So I always say that to brands now, it really is better to work with an influencer on like a 3-month partnership at least, because as a consumer, they need to see the product like 6 or 7 times before they, really intend to purchase something. So I think when brands first started partnering with bloggers, they just pay them for one post and call it a day. And I think people quickly realized that like, that's not exactly the way to sell things. And it's not as effective as, finding true loyal brand partners that like love the product, and then their audience really trusts them and they know they love it. And leads to sales.
Yeah. Well, and Caroline, when I see you like promote something too, even for the viewer, whatever we call us, that
Consumer.
are our consumer, like I look at that and I think, oh, it makes sense that she has partnered with that brand. You're very good about choosing brands that make sense. And one of the things that I can, like, as you were telling your story, that stood out to me, and that's really a great quality to have, is you seem very confident in who you are and where your best and highest use is, and using that in negotiating, for those partnerships, which I think is so important that we as women really learn that skill. So have you had a mentor that's helped you along the way to help you really define like who you are and where you want to go?
Yeah, I would say from the beginning, and really how I took this career path, because I started as a freshman fashion design major at Alabama. And after my freshman year, I really was like, this isn't the best fit for me. I don't think it's going to get me where I ultimately want to be in my career. And so I was supposed to actually transfer to Vanderbilt University. I'd gotten in, started filling out all the paperwork to officially transfer. And then I realized that when I changed majors, I was going to have to basically start my freshman year over. So go to college for 5 years. And in my mind, I was like, I know what I want to do. That's a waste of my time. For lack of better words. And I just was like, I want to do this fashion. I want to like blog. I want to, pursue this and see what doors open. And the Lord's timing is just so specific and so amazing. So the week before I was supposed to submit my final like housing deposit, tuition, something to Vanderbilt, I got an email out of the blue from the director of marketing at Michelle Watches, which is a watch brand that my parents had actually gifted me one in high school. And at this point in my life, it was like a huge deal. Like I was like, this is the end all be all. Like I truly was like in disbelief when I got the email, because I had like less than 1,000 followers on Instagram. Didn't even know anyone knew that my blog existed other than my mom, and my sister. And I got that email and I was like, my first thought was, there's no way this was meant for me. Like she got the wrong email. Like this, she's getting me confused with somebody else. This isn't, directed towards me. But she was like, I'd love to, chat about you being a brand ambassador for us, and schedule a phone call. And so we scheduled a call, and she just totally like opened my eyes to, because this was 2015. And so at this point, blogging was still fairly new, and I didn't know that this could become a career. Like this was kind of the early days of bloggers starting to make money, but really had no idea what I was getting myself into. And she reaffirmed, or really taught me, she was like, no, brands are really starting to invest here. This is a huge thing, like for the future. And she was like, we want to do whatever we can to help you. We see so much, we love everything that you're doing. You have such an, creative story, and we just love all that you're posting, all that you're sharing. And, we want to partner with you and do whatever we can to help you like succeed and take this to the next level. And I was just like completely blown away. So at that point was when I decided to actually finish my degree online through Alabama, moved back home to Birmingham, and finish all of my classes online and really pursue blogging. So that just gave me the flexibility to like go all in with this whole blogging and fashion and travel some. And so their marketing director, she has since left the brand, but we've stayed close, and she has been, I tell her all the time, I'm like, I don't know where I'd be without you, because she was such a like great mentor and really like even just encourager, because a blogging can feel super one-sided, especially like at that stage of my business where I didn't call it a business. I mean, it was literally just so small. And she would just constantly email me and be like, and just encourage me and like, this is real. And so she kind of helped me like take it seriously and be confident in like what I was doing, and that this was leading somewhere, even though at the time I was like, my head's down. I'm not sure exactly where this is leading. I hope, for these things in the future, but yeah, no, I was super, super lucky to get connected with her.
It's amazing how the Lord puts people in your life just to give you that strength of like, you can do this. And I've had that twice in my career, and it has really helped shape who I am. I mean, just because I'm not sure, I mean, one mentor was in my 20s and another in my 30s, and both were just big steps. One was stepping into the financial industry. The second was stepping out and becoming a business owner myself. And these women just like, they're like, you can do this, and it was what I needed. It sounds kind of trite when I say it out loud, but it really is. It was so amazing.
Even some like the simplest things. I mean, I'm just 19 and I'm like, no one my age is doing this. They're all at sorority and fraternity parties in Alabama. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like she believes in me and she thinks this is something. And I know that she's, like has a great career. So I'm like, all right, I guess this is something, but
well, and I think it's such a reminder for all of us, even all of us on the call today, to just really like look around. I've gone from being, practicing attorney to a stay-at-home mom to working part-time for a nonprofit to changing careers to now, being a financial advisor and doing the wealth edit. I mean, my career trajectory is like a roller coaster for sure. But the people that like really invest in me and what I'm doing, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. Just people that ask about what I'm doing. And again, it's easy sometimes to say, I don't want to be defined by my job, and there is a balance there, but like to pour into the other women in your lives, to support, encourage, hear what they're doing, just invest some time in listening, and then because you never know like how far an encouraging word can go. And then on the flip side, to be able to like create the time in all of our very busy schedules to invest in somebody who you really believe has potential. It's a gift. It's such a gift.
And it is a brave step to when you're a 19-year-old and all your friends are just like having fun and planning their next beach trip. And you're like, I'm starting a business, I mean, that's a very lonely, and that's part of what I feel like the Wealth Edit hopefully is trying to achieve, is like all these women who are entrepreneurs are kind of on islands, sometimes without a bridge. I know I felt like that for a majority of my career. And so anyway, it feels like you have just done such a brave thing. And if someone is listening and they hear your story and they're like, I can do this too, that's just what we hope for this.
No, it was totally, the Lord provided in miraculous ways in that season, because I truly felt like I was speaking a different language. Like when I would talk to my friends, it was like we were just on, like I stayed close with so many of them, but it was like I couldn't share really so much of what was going on, because it felt like my business was becoming so much of what was happening in my life at that time. And they would, try to understand and be supportive, but there were some things and that was when I felt really fortunate to find the Southern Sea. The Southern Coterie, and find
such a great word.
People that spoke my language.
Absolutely. When I went for the first time last year, I was blown away. I was like, this is so amazing. It was such a fun experience. And I do think Lauren and I've told at least 100 people
we do. We're like, you need to go. You need to go too. Well, I want to talk to you about moving to Palm Beach and having, like, how did you create a network for yourself in your 20s? Like, how did you meaningfully connect with people when you just took a huge brave step and moved there?
Yeah. No, it was definitely something that was totally out of my comfort zone. Even though at the time things just kind of happened in a way that I was able to like embrace it step by step. And so when I first moved, I started working with a brand called Stony Clover Lane.
We
Um,
love them.
We do.
they make them, I mean, they're just fabulous, everything they do. And so I was helping out in their store, and then that led to me really taking a lot of their Instagram photography. So I would take product out and around Palm Beach and shoot photos. And I got to, at that time, their company was still really small, and I was, like reporting directly to the founders, which was super cool. And so from there, I was able to kind of like plant myself in the store, like locally in Palm Beach. And so I would meet people coming into the store. And then once they saw me shooting for Stony Clover, it really happened pretty naturally. So I'd say for somebody moving to a new city, I felt like I was taking a step back to go say like, hey, I want to help out with retail a couple of days a week. But that really is what led the path to so much more. So then I was introduced to different bloggers, different brands. People saw my work for Stony Clover and they're like, oh, we want you to come work with us. And so it was really like a, little like domino effect of working with different brands and bloggers. And photography is something that spreads. It's different than blogging. I feel like blogging is a lot more like pushing and tugging to like find the right partners and negotiate the right price and get the contracts and get the product. There's so much that goes into it, whereas photography is so much more straightforward. And so it spreads pretty quickly by word of mouth. And so once I did a shoot for one person, they told 5 people, and then it really spread pretty quickly. And I was also, lucky coming from having a blog and having an Instagram and being able to share some of my work with my audience, and then brands approaching me through that. So I would say Instagram is an amazing tool. It's a double-edged sword for sure, but it's the amount of people and partnerships and places I've gotten to go just purely because of the impact of social media is crazy.
How do you feel like social media has changed, is changing? Like, how are you thinking through that?
I always say the older I get, the less I want to share. Like having a blog at 18 and sharing what I was doing day to day then feels totally different than being 26 and, kind of sharing what I'm doing. I really try to keep it more business focused. However, Instagram has changed so much. It's not just like this fun creative platform. Like it's become like a news outlet almost. It's just like become this end all be all phone screen time situation that feels like a little bit less creative. However, it's still super, super powerful. I think that Instagram, I don't know. It's crazy to think about where it's going to go in the future. And, if there is, I think for the longest time, I always thought like there's going to be another app, something else is coming. And I think I have like told my like readers and people that if you're looking for something that's more similar to the beginning Instagram, I love the LTK app, which is Reward Styles like shopping app, which is more just like fun, on the go, creative type, like fashion focused content. But I don't know, social media is like it's an amazing tool. I feel like the older I get though, the more I want my business to be less dependent on Instagram. And I do think it's really interesting that a lot of businesses put so much emphasis on Instagram and spend so much time on it, which it's so easy to get sucked into and spend so much time. But then it's really not the number one thing that's like driving sales. People talk about Pinterest and email newsletters and so many other things that really convert better than Instagram. I feel like Instagram is like the first stop maybe for like a customer, but then there's so many more layers that can really like turn into sales. So I'd say don't, put all your eggs in one basket on Instagram. I've always been really cautious about like making sure that like at least my website, even though I don't post as much now, that like I will always have a website and a blog that people can come to. And it's not just Instagram, because it's crazy to think that it could go away tomorrow and we have zero control over it.
Totally.
I love that. And I love thinking of like email addresses. Your email list and your website as being like true assets.
Yeah.
these business. I mean, that's yours, you own it. And I do think that's an important reminder to people that are building in that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming to an end. It's so sad. We want you to come back.
Yes.
But Caroline, we always ask all our guests as we end, like, why did you say yes to the Wealth Edit? Other than the fact that we stalked you
Well,
down.
because I adore y'all, and I'm so glad our paths crossed. It was totally meant to be. But I feel like there's such a lack of knowledge for women going into business about finances and budgeting and everything money related. I know for me, I'm like starting with an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm like, okay, this needs to be a little bit more professional. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think all of that's so important, and I feel like there's a lack of learning that, you know, like in high school or in, you know, at a younger age. So yeah, no, I'm just such a fan of everything that y'all are doing.
Well, thank you
Thanks so
so much. Well, we loved having you. So can you tell everybody where they can find you, and maybe just give us a sneak peek of what's coming next?
Yes, I am on Instagram at LCB Style, which are my initials. And the same, my website is lcbstyle.com. And over the next few months, I am starting to work on a really like dream kind of project with a partner that I met through the Southern Sea Summit. And it kind of ties back into my fashion design background. So
yeah.
we'll see.
Okay, well, we love watching you, and we love everything about you. So thank you, Caroline, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Y'all are the best.
All right, thanks. Have a good day.